It was really hard to keep a straight face during that. There's like a squeaking. What the hell is that?
It's kind of creepy for a second there. I was confused.
Welcome to 100X Engineering, everybody. The show where you learn to write on a whiteboard in a really loud manner. One of the marks of an excellent engineer. Learn to be a 1X, not a 1X, not a 10X, 11X, nay, 99X, but 100X engineer. I'm your host, Carter Hesterman. I'll let my other host introduce himself.
Joining Carter is myself, Drew Johnson. Happy to be here. Excited for today's episode. Not sure what else to mention, though.
Very excited. I'm going to 2.4 million viewers in advance as well. My internet is being spotty for some reason. I don't know what is going on, but so if I accidentally start talking over someone, it's because I can't hear them. And I'm also just rude. So there's that. Dude, did you do anything cool over the weekend? It's Tuesday, but I didn't see you yesterday. So
that's such a rude question. Of course, I didn't do anything cool. It was pretty chill, but
everyone look at
did something cool. Yeah. Hey, what did you do over the weekend?
I flew out to Raleigh, so I recuperated and recovered. That's redundant. I rested and recovered over the weekend. I was in Raleigh doing our quarterly planning last week. We got some sweet new features coming out to all of our customers in the next quarter. They pay me to say that. Well,
sponsored by Jupiter One.
Not sponsored by Jupiter One. I don't see a logo anywhere. It was on backwards, so we have to take them down until we get.
We were reprimanded.
Sent to us. So, marketing, if you're watching this, please send us a mirrored image of the Jupiter One logo because I refuse to mirror my camera. It just looks wrong.
Yeah, same.
View of what that looks like. Actually, just
no. God, put it back. No,
yeah. Everyone, this is unacceptable. I can't focus.
I'm not even going to mirror mine. My hair goes the other way, and I can't stand it. It makes no sense.
It looks like I'm going to fall over. Oh, yeah. Your camera just froze for me. Oh, there we go. All right. I think that's enough witty banter for the beginning. If you agree, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, we've got someone pretty awesome joining us today. A principal engineer who bikes to the moon and back. Essentially, I think it's like 500,000 miles is what this man bikes.
Yep.
I could be wrong on that, but let's just go ahead and welcome Xander to the show.
Round of applause for Xander, everyone.
What is up?
Xander, thank you for joining us. Give us a brief introduction of yourself, aside from the fact that you can bike to the moon and back.
Bike to the moon
and back.
It's pretty ambitious. That would be awesome, though. I'm a software engineer here at Jupiter One. I went to school at Ohio University, as you could probably tell, but I live in North Carolina now, and I wouldn't be anywhere else. My wife and I love it here. We've got 2 kids, aptly named Atlas and Aries, so you can tell we are into the space theme. Also, my space shuttle back there. There are lots more space Legos downstairs.
Yes.
The only ones I get. I don't do the Star Wars ones, just the space ones. The NASA
little hurt there.
theme. But we are big Star Wars fans. So if I had to draw the line somewhere, they don't pay me enough to buy all the Star Wars Legos. That's Lego keeps making merchandise like people have infinite funds.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's so expensive.
They're quite pricey. Also, shout out to Chum. Thank you, Chum. You look great too. No need to mirror on your part either. You just glossed over something. I didn't realize your children's names were Atlas and Aries, which is like super badass. Yeah. We were actually going to name my firstborn Atlas as well. We were sitting at a restaurant and there was like a picture of like Atlas. I was like, what do you think of Atlas as a name? My wife thought I was talking about like Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually talking about the Mech Warrior robot from Mech Warrior, like the giant extra large mech. It's called an Atlas. She didn't know that. She became obsessed. I was like, no, I was joking. It was a video game reference. So Aries is a cool one as well.
Although we went with the constellation spelling, so Aries, we decided not to name him after the god of war.
That was going to be my next question. I was going to ask if he's a Hellion. So that answers that. A few things I know about Xander. There's a lot more to Xander than this, but Xander. We were talking about how Xander can bike 5,000 miles. He corrected me and said 500. 500,000 miles is a lot of miles, ladies and gentlemen. But you biked from where did you start?
from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
That's such a good segue.
It's called
Wow.
AIDS Life Cycle. It's a fundraiser for the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, and
Very cool.
my sister has done it numerous times. But I joined her a few years back. It's my first time ever visiting California, and it was a really fantastic way to see California because you start in San Francisco, you get to see the mountains, you get to see strawberry fields and artichoke fields, and then you come out back at the coast, and there were seals and dolphins off the coast, and then you get to go through Malibu, and we rode right past like Martha Stewart's house or something like that. I
Right.
don't know. All these gigantic houses, and then like you're right on the side of US 1 in Malibu, and you're getting passed by like Lamborghinis and Maseratis and Ferraris. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you're in Los Angeles, and it was just nuts. It was a really cool way to see California for the first time.
That's super cool. I can barely bike like a mile without just falling over. And I'm sure Drew could bike like maybe 400,000 miles, but
Maybe on a good day. No, I'm not. a
upper
good
body
biker.
strength will only take you so far.
Yeah, maybe I'll pedal with my arms. Now, Carter, he's not giving himself credit. You're a good biker too. You're just an off-road biker. I feel like you take the mountains.
You've not seen me bike, but I appreciate the faith.
Fair enough.
Let's introduce our game before we dig into the topic today. Today's game was going to be Yo Ho Ho, and it was no longer Yo Ho Ho because it turns out that game is not online. I turned off my internet and everything still worked just fine, so that was a sham. So not Yo Ho Ho. Feel free to look it up, though. It's still fun. Then we were going to do a different one, Battlebound Online, and there was just one person in the lobby who kept spawn killing everybody, and he was like glitching and cheating. This person who spent a bunch of time like hacking a game made by a kid in Scratch. And then I got banned by like 10 players, even though there was only one in the lobby, so that was fun. So we finally landed on a ringer, though. Allow me to introduce Gunhook. Gunhook is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Tyler, can we get a link to Gunhook dropped in the chat here? You have a gun and you have a hook, and that is all that you need. And you can pretty much zip as far as you want. Anybody can tell me how to aim down sights in this, I will give them $1. A shout out on the stream and recognition and the credit for a few episodes.
Easily worth $1.
I think so. It's you got to get your name out there, and 100x Engineering is the place to do it. Am I right? Got your X here. Okay, so the title for today's episode is "How Can I Mentor the Unmentorable?" One of my less imaginative titles, a little bit more literal, I think. So shame on you, Carter, for not putting more effort into that one. Also, I'm not going to try and shoot with a pistol. Plasma rifle is broken, so I'm going to try and shoot Sandra out of the sky. Plasma rifle. So kicking things off, I got to pull up my notes here, actually, because they're on the wrong spot. There's kind of two separate areas I wanted to discuss in this today. One is how to effectively mentor, and the other is how to effectively be a mentee. Is that a word? So Xander, have you ever had a good mentor that you've had to work with, or you got to work with?
Yeah, I had a couple of really good mentors throughout my career. One at who I met while I was doing an internship in college. Well, in Ohio, we called them co-ops. I've learned that not everyone calls them that, but I took most of my junior year off, or not off, but away from campus to do internships. So I spent 6 months at a small engineering consulting company, and then 6 months at a larger company that was not an engineering company, but they needed some engineers. And I learned a lot about my career at both of those places, or at least a lot about what I wanted to do with my career. And I ended up at the smaller company, and I had a great mentor there who, I was on his team during my internship, but when I joined the company full-time after college, I was on a different team, but still kept up that kind of mentor-mentee relationship with him, despite being on a different team. And I think that was actually really effective because we were able to kind of have more candid conversations that weren't directly related to like performance or individual work tasks. It was kind of more abstract in the career sense. So, and incidentally, I got to have him come to my college for kind of a ceremony is the right word, but for an event where they invited people to bring people, they invited students to bring mentors or mentees from their co-op internship experiences to kind of talk about what it was like from their side. And so it was really great. Yeah,
that's super cool. I like that they it sounds like they were a mentor not just for like code, but just like more general, just like helping you in your career.
I actually I haven't talked to him in a long time. His name's Michael Heron, if he happens to be listening. Hey, Michael. But we actually still send Christmas cards back and forth. So it's been a while since we've chatted. But yeah, we talked to each other throughout that position. But then also as we both moved on, he ended up leaving that company before I did. And then I ended up leaving too, and then we still kind of kept in touch. But it was really great because I felt like he would give me very honest feedback about really any question that I asked him, and that was the most important thing. So that was awesome.
That's really super cool.
Was it like a structured thing through the company?
It was not. I don't think so. I'm trying to remember if there was a structured kind of mentor program at the company, but at least my relationship with him was not. And incidentally, I have not really been a part of any kind of a structured mentor-mentee relationship. But that's just because I have kind of looked into finding mentors or mentees without doing that. That's not to say that I don't believe in them. So, but no, just the short answer. No.
I've actually had a similar experience. So I read this article on Medium forever ago that's like you should have a board of directors for your life, which I've never been in a board meeting, but that sounds like something more I've gotten in business. Like I do not want that in my life, but I think the concept actually is good. Just like have people with like able to take an objective view on your situation who aren't in your situation. Or don't necessarily have a conflict of interest, but still care about you. Like their goal is to like help you succeed. And so I told one person that I worked with back at my first job, like, hey, I read this article. Would you be comfortable being on the board of directors for my life and be like, I don't know, chairman of my career or some silly title like that? And they were super down. They were really flattered. And I worked with them to help like negotiate my offer for like my current job for like Jupiter One. Like I still go get lunch with them like maybe once every couple of years and like keep in touch with them. But I definitely have a lot of respect. So I was thinking of going more along the lines of like, hey Xander, do you want to pair with me? Like that kind of mentorship. But I think this opens up an interesting topic of like there are like different variants of mentorship and like varying levels of granularity with it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here on the primary thing I wanted to say on the topic.
You were the one holding the gun, so you pick the direction we go.
I think the biggest thing that in my experience that is valuable for mentorship is basically the same answer I would say for how do you be an effective manager, which is everybody's heard the golden rule, which is treat others how you want to be treated. But and I can't take credit for this because I heard it a long time ago. Although I can also not cite my source, but I heard, don't treat others how you want to be treated. Treat others how they want to be treated, and they call it the platinum rule. And I've really held on to that because I think that it's really important in any kind of relationship, right? Whether it's a personal relationship with a significant other, or whether it's with a mentor or mentee, or a manager and a direct report, is I really like to focus on like how does the person I'm communicating with like to communicate. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but recently when I went to the doctor, they said, how do you best learn? And I thought it was really interesting because they want to know, do you learn best by watching videos, or do you learn best by reading information, or having a discussion, or seeing pictures, or whatever? It's similar when you're having a mentor-mentee relationship, is to know how do you best communicate? Like, do you want to chat? Do you want to get coffee? Do you want to talk in a formal situation? Do you want to take notes and then we'll come back and review them? Like, there's all kinds of different ways that people best share their ideas with each other and reflect on their own career or the different things that they're doing. And I think figuring out what the best way for the mentee to communicate is one of the critical pieces. And so for me, I like having kind of candid conversations, and that may be over text or it may be in person, but it's rarely like a formal setting for my preference. And so for that reason, I've been successful with my mentors when it's not a formal situation. But some people really benefit from more formal settings. And so if that works for you, if that's what you're looking for, if that works, if you're the mentor instead of the mentee, if that works for your mentee, then do that. I think that's been key to me. And then I think there's like a slight addendum to that, which is I think you should not just communicate the way that they want to be, or treat them the way they want to be treated, but treat them the way that they want to be treated in order to reach their goals, right? If they're looking to achieve a certain thing and maybe they need a little tough love, or maybe they need a little bit more structure in order to kind of focus on the goal that they're trying to reach, then I think that maybe could be a small addendum to it. But in any case, yeah, I think that's the big thing is finding this type of structure that works for that relationship.
I think that's super insightful. And before I forget, Carter, I have to appreciate how direct you were with bringing someone to your board of directors for your life. But I think that Xander aligns with what you're saying, that you kind of have to have some level of being explicit about the relationship. And I appreciate that because I don't know if I've exactly had that in my career, but I have had a lot of influential people that less explicitly have contributed in ways that sound familiar to what you're talking about. So I not necessarily would say I've had a strict mentor-mentee relationship, but I've had a lot of people who contribute along those lines. So it's cool to hear it being explicit with it seems more effective.
It was certainly more dramatic. I do think it was effective though. Like I think having that clearly defined of like, I respect the hell out of you, man. Like, please help me. That has helped me in multiple facets, especially as like he's like progressing his career in like similar ways that I aspire to. He's ahead of me by like several years, and that's been really cool to see. And like really effective, being like, what have you learned? Like, help me out. I think it's cool that the thing I like about this like variant of mentorship is that it doesn't have to be tied to somebody working at your company currently. Like you can find somebody in the industry. We'll talk a little bit more later about like how to find somebody or approach somebody, whether they're in your company or not. Oh gosh, I didn't realize you could do this. You can jump out of the map.
Really? Oh,
but I'm gonna try that again actually because I thought it was a glitch. Nope, it's not. Okay, seizure. Let's talk about. So I think Xander, you hit the nail on the head with a good mentor has an ability to maybe empathize and also just like understand and listen to what the person they're mentoring wants or needs. What else do you guys think are important attributes for a mentor to have? Also, if anybody in the audience has thoughts on this, please weigh in as well. We would love to talk about the fact that you commented on our show. Andrew, any thoughts that you have on like other attributes a mentor could have?
Yeah, I think being introspective about like being able to kind of put yourself in the other person's shoes. You said empathy, but like empathy itself is multifaceted. It's like understanding where they're coming from and what the circumstances are that put them in where they are, but then also understanding that not every situation is gonna work out the same. Advice that worked for you is not gonna work for someone else because every parameter of everyone's career is different all the time. So it's kind of taking empathy and thinking of all the different ways you can be empathetic, I guess. But then, also being just like willing to be transparent and honest is really good because people want to know like what didn't work, or in the same way of saying like, I don't know what I would do here. Like sometimes as a mentor, you have to say, I don't know, I've not experienced this, but this is how I would think about that problem. Being willing to say that you don't know, I think is important.
Do you have any thoughts?
I don't know. I'm definitely approaching this more from the mentee side of things because I'm a little less tenured than y'all. So, um, interestingly enough, I feel like it's the same answer from the mentee side. It's like you really have to be open and empathetic to what this person on the mentor side is able to provide you or willing to provide you, right? Because it's an investment, like a pretty hefty investment, even at like the lowest levels, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't been a mentor to too many people, if any. So I don't really know if I have opinions.
You've been a team lead, so I'd say you've definitely been a mentor to like several people on your team. As part of like your job description, right? So don't discredit
Yeah,
yourself.
totally. No, yeah, that's fair.
Uh, yeah, I
Well,
think
there's a good quality right there, which is humility. Not trying, like, that plays into being able to say that you don't know, but not trying to act like you, because you're in the mentor role, you have all the answers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
being
that's
able to
fair.
say, like, yeah, it's just tough. Like, that's something that I've not experienced yet, or you know, why are you doing that? Help me to understand what you're trying to get out of this. Asking
I
questions.
completely agree. I also
Yeah.
think like tied into that, like the instant somebody who you're supposed to be leading or mentoring or helping along, the instant they feel like you're not doing it for them and instead doing it for you, it's like, for example, if I level up this employee, they'll do really good and then that'll look really good for me and I'll get a promotion. Like the instant
Yeah.
any sort of whim of that, whether it's intended or not, that signal is received, you lose all control and all influence over that individual, or at least a significant portion of it. That's not to say it's like irreparable or like impossible to gain back. But like I've had leaders in my life and like mentors in my life where it's like, you don't actually care about me. And like that's very obvious. Like this is a business transaction to you. And they were maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm just like too prideful or egotistical. But like I was unable to effectively be mentored by them. Whereas like the ones who I felt like genuinely were in it for helping me because they cared, those are the ones that I remember and the ones that have like influenced my path for the better.
Yeah, I echo that because that kind of made me think about the mentors I've had, like rough mentors, I guess, and all of them would like they're the type that would encourage me to go the opposite way of say like the job we were both working at if that was what was best for me and maybe would not be beneficial to them or the the company in the short term, but best for me personally, they would recommend that like 100% of the time. I feel like that's a good indicator as to what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. I think having that safe space of being able to like if it's somebody at your job, like having the safe space where it's like, dude, I'm interviewing at another place right now. Like, what do I do? Like, help me out. Like, I've had somebody at my first job, like, who was my mentor, different one, and I was able to work with him to like negotiate a better situation for me at like my current job, and then ultimately also he helped me like find another job, which was super cool of him. I was on his team and he wanted like me to stay on his team, but like he also like he cared more about me as an individual than just like the company at large, because the company is fine whether Carter worked there or not, especially intern Carter at the time. So that was
Intern Carter.
That's important. Intern Carter had short hair. Different human. You're human. Okay, how about mentees? Let's flip it. What are some of the attributes that like if I'm a mentor will help me have an effective relationship with like with someone as like a mentee? What can they do to be more receptive or make it work?
It's almost the same, right? It's like having humility. Like if you're willing to be mentored, then you're going to be a good mentee, right? You're willing to accept someone's opinions and feedback, and you're willing to listen and kind of think about things without just taking them as fact. But then also like having the space to say, you know, I got this advice, but I don't know. I don't think that's gonna work, right? It's bi-directional. It's like you have to be able to listen and digest and understand feedback and be willing to be wrong or be willing to hear new ideas, but then also be willing. Like you don't want to just take everything that a mentor says as gospel, right? You're going to learn things from them, but they're also going to share ideas with you that might not be right. So not looking to have someone solve your problem, but also being willing to to hear new solutions.
I like that. I think as a part of that, you could also say like a good mentee is one who sounds weird, but like respects the time that their mentor gives to them in the way of like making the most of it. Like if I have a pairing session or a one-on-one scheduled, like if I'm really trying to make the most of it, I will come prepared with like things I want to talk about or things that like I can give to them. It's almost presumptuous to be like, okay, mentor, like give it to me. Like there should be like a degree of that. But I think like if you're really trying to optimize that relationship and make it work, you're going to make it easier for the person mentoring you by thinking critically about yourself, coming prepared with questions or things you want to talk about, and then being willing to adjust course if they have something else that they think they should go over. But like you have the default available in case they didn't have an ability to prepare in one form or another. Thoughts on that? As I was saying, it was like, it's a little spicy. I can kind of see it going either way.
No, I think it's smart and I think it's fair because the mentor arguably is putting more into the relationship in most cases. And it is, some kind of respect to put that into it. But also like how far is the relationship or like the mentee going to actually get if they're not willing to put in some form of effort on their end? Like a mentor is not going to hold your hand through everything you're trying to grow into or, experience or whatever you're doing. They can't take you there. They can only kind of, amplify what you're doing or what you're putting into it. Right. So I think what you said is perfectly fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. Or what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say I fully agree.
You guys ever had a bad mentor? Like a specific example, not so specific that you're like calling them out, but like things that you remember about a bad mentor?
Yeah, I have one, and I'm not, this is no shade on this person because I don't know if it was necessarily like a mentor mentee relationship, but this person was way senior to me and I was just getting into like the programming world. And I don't necessarily remember like too much like direct negativity, but instead of getting like guidance, I got kind of made fun of almost. I remember not having Node properly installed in my terminal and just being like completely unaware of what that meant in the current context. And this person was just like, wait, you don't even have Node installed, and like just straight up shaming me for it. And to this day, I'm still haunted by it. I'm like, I barely know what Node is. How do I install it? Like I had all these questions and I was like, I was too like afraid to admit it too. I was like, no, maybe it's just not, in this command line or something. I don't know. I had some excuse for it, but I was like afraid to be honest. So it was kind of a bad relationship.
Man, that's brutal.
I know.
That's about as brutal. Yeah, that's about as brutal as Carter just hitting me with a grenade from across the entire map.
Across the map.
I
appreciate you standing still for me.
I was trying to snipe you, but I have yet to figure out how the sniper works.
I got him. I got revenge for you.
Oh, I just got Drew with a sniper.
Oh,
I didn't kill him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a shot.
I'll lob another grenade across the map at you.
Oh,
have you guys done it where you just kind of like vomit the grenade out right in front of you and it blows you up?
It took me probably 5 times to kill myself before I realized you had to hold it.
I've seen Xander do it a couple times. Let's see, bad experiences with the mentor for me. I consider myself actually pretty lucky. Like I think I haven't had a lot of bad mentors. I've certainly had some I've gotten along better with than others. I had a team lead at a previous company who I butted heads with on the regular with. And that was more, I think, due to personalities. I was also an asshole as I look back on that. I was like, I was unmentorable, to make a callback to our episode title.
What were you doing that made you unmentorable?
You're gonna make me say it.
That's what the title of the episode is. That's what this is about.
So I think there was a large degree of ego on my part. It's like I run my own company on the side. Like I know what I'm talking about. I think there's also just like some social immaturity that I had. This was like 9 years ago. There was like some areas of like just like me not like being a professional adult that I could have improved in, where just like making jokes and teasing and stuff that I think put this person on the defensive when I was with them. And then also like as a ambitious person. I think this person also felt like I was coming for their job as a team lead. And so they were a little hesitant to like help me in that journey because I later came to light they were worried about me trying to replace them. Which to a degree I wasn't trying to replace them, but I was trying to like get to their same level very aggressively though. And I learned that I went about that incorrectly, and that helped me approach later jobs better with management of being like, no, I'm trying to like I want to support you. That is like the most important thing. If you can help me get to your level eventually, great. But like I'm here to support you, and I can better support you if like you can help me understand like what the hell is going on. So as I'm speaking out loud, not a bad mentor, bad mentee, and the bad mentee with me.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because I think I can understand the sentiment. I think I've been in a similar spot where pride gets in the way of learning. You really have to be super open and understand that you really don't know anything at any level in your career. There's always more to learn, and it's hard to realize that when you're younger, I guess.
And then when you're a more senior engineer, you think you don't know anything again.
Yeah, there's that curve, right? You start out, you're like, I know so much, and then no, we know so little.
Well, I will share another perspective, which is that I was a bad mentor. And really it all boiled down to, I was just at not a great spot in my life to take on a mentee. We had one young kid and he was getting sick all the time, and then some other personal stuff. And through that, at one point someone kind of asked me like, hey, could you kind of help me kind of with this kind of a less formal request to be a mentor. And I tried to do that. And I wasn't as responsive, attentive as I wanted to be. And basically I kind of accepted to try to be in that role when I just didn't really have space for it. And that's something that I've learned from that experience. Is like, if you're going to do that, it is, even if it's not a formal arrangement, it is a commitment. And if you're not prepared for it, then you won't do a good job.
Yeah, that goes back to what we're talking about with essentially both sides need to be committed to a certain extent for it to be successful. So
Exactly.
That's interesting.
So let's explore that thread a little bit further. How do you know when like a mentorship relationship is like no longer fruitful, and how do you end it?
How do you break up with your mentor? That could have been the episode title.
Or your mentee, in like the case of like Xander, where it sounds like Xander wasn't in a spot where like he could have like effectively mentored, and so it's like this isn't working.
I think I don't know. For me, it was just realizing like I haven't talked to this person, and if I was the one who asked someone to mentor me and they went this long without talking to me, and like what would I do? Like, would I be seeking someone else out? And they almost definitely were, and I wasn't like offended at that or anything. But it was almost like you just have to admit like, hey, I'm not at the right spot for this, and I think you should find someone who can more match up with what you need right now, because right now that's not me.
It's not you, it's me. Whoa. Xander, what did you just do?
I have no idea.
I just watched you just launch to the moon. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I think it's funny. I in my head, I'm like dropping into like firing conversation, and it's like, no, you don't do that when you're like separating with the mentor. It's like you could just ghost them. Like you could treat it like a messy breakup, just ghost them or send them a text like, hey, I'm seeing someone else now.
I'm mentoring someone else. I'm sorry.
You could let them accidentally catch you, in a one-on-one room with another employee.
Pair programming with someone else.
Get your hands off his keyboard. But yeah, actually though, I think like you have to now analyze like, is this important enough, or is this present enough that like it will cause harm if I do this? Like, does it need to actually be cut off, or can I just kind of like let it simmer, and then if they come back up, then just like handle it then? That's a really solid question. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not in a spot where I can help you right now. Let me know if you can't find anyone else, and like I can like see about getting somebody else for you to talk to. And just like owning it. I just did the grenade myself thing.
That's a great point about like trying to help them find someone else. And I think that goes back to whether it's a formal arrangement or not, and just kind of what the person needs. If there is another formal arrangement, like if you have a formal mentor-mentee program at your company and you find that maybe you're overloaded and you're not kind of meeting those needs, then just being honest with that program, like whoever's coordinating that, whether it's a manager or HR or whatever, and saying, hey, I don't feel like I've got the bandwidth for this right now. It's not going really well. It's not that it was a bad matchup. It's just that, whatever the circumstances are. And that way, you kind of cover your bases on all sides. And then if it is a less formal arrangement, I think like Carter said, it just depends on like what the relationship is like. If some people are totally okay with just kind of letting things go until it comes back up, that's cool. But if you're the type of person that likes to know, then, or you like the other person to know, then just be honest with them and say, hey, it feels like I'm not doing what you need, or maybe you're not getting out of this relationship what I can give right now, or I'm not getting out what you're able to provide. If you're the mentee, then I think it's fine. Like being honest that it's not the same as a breakup, and as much as we joke about it, right? It can be a mutually it's supposed to be a mutually beneficial relationship, and so just being honest with each other is easy.
I forecast this being more applicable to this style of mentor where it's like in a sprint, I need to pair with you. I'm working with you one-on-one. Like I'm relying on you for like technical guidance and technical growth rather than like career growth, since that one's going to have a lot more of an impact on your day in, day out job, in my opinion. I think if you like abuse a relationship, not abuse, but if you like overutilize a mentor for like a career one, that's where you'd be putting yourself in a situation where it's like you might get broken up with if you're like being a little too needy there.
Yeah.
Too clingy. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think mentorship should be formalized, or is it best to like kind of let it self-organized as necessary?
I think there are circumstances where having more formalized mentorships is really beneficial, especially for maybe junior engineers where there is in a larger organization, because sometimes dropping into an organization right after college or even just dropping into a new company as a more junior engineer, it can be really tough to even find out like, well, who do I even talk to, because there's a lot of people here. And having formalized mentorship or kind of setups in that regard, I think are beneficial. In smaller organizations, maybe less so, and then maybe at the more senior level, you kind of have experience in figuring out like just kind of who you jive with, or the types of people that you find yourself working really well with. And I think at some point you kind of become like almost like magnetized towards the type of people you work well with in that type of relationship. And so usually things happen a little bit more naturally that way without the formal setups. I think it's also, I've seen a couple of situations where it can be really useful for people who are job hunting or are maybe still in college, because you don't know where you're going to end up. You might be going to college in one state and interviewing with somebody in a different country or across the country, and having kind of a formal, there are a handful of kind of find a mentor sites out there. Things like that certainly seem to be useful.
I agree with that. Man, we're coming up on time really quick here. There's another question I wanted to ask you, but I think I'm going to, for brevity's sake, who's HR Nightmare? They've made a repeat appearance in multiple games and kick my ass every time. I remember what I was going to say. If you're a junior engineer, especially, or like even a mid-level engineer, if you're coming in at a earlier spot in your career, you're I dare say entitled to have somebody provide you with that technical guidance. And if not, then like that's an issue you want to bring up with your manager. So like I would say like go to your manager if you're like, I need mentorship and I don't feel like I'm getting it. Like that is your manager's job to make sure you get that. And if you don't have that, then like they are failing you, in my opinion. You can tell them to call me. Or tell them to come on the show, even better. And we'll duke it out publicly. But yeah, bring it up with them. That would be like my way of going about it if you were in a position where like I need mentorship but I'm not receiving it. In conclusion, Xander, if I'm a senior engineer and I'm interested in becoming a mentor, or I'm trying to brush up, sharpen my skills, be a more effective mentor, what advice would you give me?
That's a tough one. I think if you have access to kind of that formal mentor program at maybe your company, if it's run by HR or engineering, something like that, just let them know that you're interested in trying it out. Maybe you kind of pair up on it if that's what they kind of want you to do, or maybe you just dive right in and get assigned a mentee at that formal agreement. And if not, maybe volunteer at some of those online ones where people who are remote kind of want just like an online mentor. I think it's fine to try it, especially if you're open to saying the things that we said before, which is like, I feel like I'm not giving you what, like just be willing to grade yourself and say, yeah, I'm trying this and I'm new to it and I just want to try it out, and be honest with yourself as well as with your mentee. So there's different ways to find the people both formally and informally. Maybe just talking to people that you haven't talked to within your organization is also a great way to both find mentors and mentees, because you might find that you have a good relationship with someone and it turns out that you have advice that they'd like to hear, or that they have advice that you'd like to hear. So definitely one thing that I encourage people, all regardless of whether you're explicitly trying to mentor or mentee or whatever at your company, just talk to more people that you haven't talked to yet. I know that at J1 we use Donut as a way to introduce people and have conversations, but be willing to do that all the time, because talking to new people can only help you get more perspectives.
Love it. Thank you, Xander. I think those are good words of wisdom for us to wrap up on here. Let's give a round of applause for Xander Dumaine, everyone. Xander, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Thank you for your thoughts. I've enjoyed the conversation here. I've enjoyed having my ass handed to me by you in Gunhook. Going to send you backstage now. Thank you for your time, and we will catch you in the future.
Thanks for having me. Later.
See ya.
See you, Xander.
Let's see. Is Tyler going to kick him off? No, I'm going to kick him off. It's not working for me. Tyler, can you do it? I'm going to close out of the game now as well. He's gone. I felt so powerless. I don't like that feeling. Drew, I think we missed our mark for a thing that we were supposed to do in the middle of the show.
We didn't miss it. There's still time.
Oh, then it is time for...
It's time for some news. Hello. Welcome. Where'd Carter go? Oh, God, I'm alone.
I'm still here.
Welcome to this super quick edition of Drew's News. This is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. I'm Drew Johnson, here to update you on the latest in the gaming world. Let's jump right in. Major news for esports fans. FaZe Clan, one of the most prominent esports organizations, has announced it is going public with a staggering valuation of $1 billion. The landmark move will allow fans to invest in the team's success, further propelling the growth of competitive gaming. Keep a close eye on the stock market, and let's see how this revolutionizes the esports landscape. That's it for this lightning edition of Drew's News. Stay tuned for more gaming updates, and until next time, game on.
$1 billion. That's actually a juicy bit of news there.
I think it's closer to like 750 million, but it's still super interesting.
Rounding error. That's pretty sick, actually. A round of applause for Drew's News. We'll talk more. That will come up in your performance review later. It's a positive note, no doubt. Okay, our next episode is on May 9th. Be there or...
Hype.
I'm not going to say be square. That's lame. Be there or don't be there. See if I care. We'll roll with that one. Reach out to us at 100xengineering@jupiter1.com. Refer your friends or enemies. Feel free to suggest games. Ask us questions. If you want us to say a magic word on the show, we can do that as long as it's not a bad word or it's HR compliant. I don't believe we have any other announcements. So with that, we will roll the credits.